Preparing to live stream the meeting. Setting up meeting for YouTube Live. Done. Okay, I think now we have a 10-second. Oh. Okay, we're live. Preparing to live stream the meeting.
Dobrý den, welcome. It is my pleasure to introduce the Czech Zone number 2, dedicated to the 17th century poet, pedagogue, and philosopher Jan Amos Comenius. Zone is the translation of the Czech word pásmo, and it refers to a modern form in poetry and arts that includes words, images, dance, and music, and became popular in the 1920s Prague. Comenius is known internationally for his Orbis Pictus, or World in Pictures, Svět v obrazech, and we realized that this early modern textbook, composed of words and images, lends itself well to the online format. Of course, we miss our usual in-person theater, but also decided to turn current disadvantages to advantages and explore what Zoom can offer and in which way it can even surpass usual theater. In the process, we realized that Komensky's hands-on pedagogical methods are inspiring in our contemporary Zoom teaching. We partnered with the Houghton Library curators Christine Jacobson and Sarah Powell, who led us on a fascinating tour through Comenius' pedagogical and pan-Sophic works and bilingual maps of his own making. The online format and collaboration with the Houghton Library are not the only new features in this year's Czech play. For the first time, we welcome Polish to our play and trust that this is the first of many future interlingual Slavic plays. Who would have thought that we may find reprieve in the 17th century with its unrests, wars, and pandemics that swept through Europe? We hope that you enjoy being with us in our Czech Zone for the next 30 minutes, and that you join us for the Q&A with actors after the play. Thank you all for coming, and to the Slavic department for supporting Czech plays.
Yes, thank you, Veronica. So I just want to say that we are definitely not, this was like a new adventure for us. It was like really challenging and interesting. One of the things that immediately went wrong is our YouTube link. I realized it's not working at the link, but I posted it in the comments. So hopefully people are being redirected in the right place. And this is kind of in the story of preparing this whole thing. We have just had to film the students in their homes and in our homes. So a lot of it has actually been done in the recording studio, aka my bathroom, which is where the audio would sound the best. So this, though, it's very much in the spirit of the Czech play as we do it live, which involves a lot of laughter and not a lot of, serious training. So this is true also in the spirit of this year's virtual gathering. So please stick around. We're going to start sharing what we put together, which is this video with music and images and dialogues. And then we'll come together again with everyone after the video to kind of discuss our whole experience. So please don't leave.
So Julia, you know that it's, did you see the note?
Yes. So I posted the new link under our YouTube stream, and I'm also gonna send it out in an email right now. Or I guess, should we wait a few minutes until people are redirected before we start sharing?
But will everyone get this link? People who were on the
People who were on the previous streams should have access to it on the stream. I posted it in the comments there, so it should be available to them. Yeah, I've been successfully redirected, Zhenya says. So I think most people who were on the other YouTube link will be easily redirected to this YouTube link, which is working. I will send it in an email also, just to be safe. But I think that should be.
And did they hear the introduction?
Yes. Good. Yeah, people are saying they've been successfully redirected. Yes, it is very much, you guys are really embodying the pilgrim who is lost in the chaos of the world. And hopefully by the end of this, it will reach divine safety. Yeah. So Veronica, I think we're okay because people are saying that they redirected. So I think we can start. Great. So we will start now. So the journey has already started for you from what YouTube link to the next. And now we will continue into a completely different space and time.
Uč sem dítě, uč se modrým býti. Co to jest modrým býti? Všecko, co z potřebného jest, dobře znati, dobře dělati, dobře vysloviti. Ktož mne tomu naučí? Já, z pomoci Boží. Jakým způsobem? Provedu tebe všudy, ukáži tobě všecko, pojmenuji tobě všecko. Tu jsem, vedíš mne ve jménu Páně. Především musíš se naučit pohým zvuků, že kterých složena jest řeč lidská, které zvířata umějí vyržiti a jazyk tvoj umí naučit i ruka tvá může malovat. Potom vidíme na svět a prolídneme všechny věci. To máš živou a hlasovou abecedu. Kraka. Ovce věci.
Oh, sorry, we immediately have another. This does not want to start well. Okay, I will start again.
Uč jsem dítě, uč se modrým býti. Co to jest modrým býti? Všecko, co z potřebného jest, dobře znati, dobře dělati, dobře vysloviti. Ktož mne tomu naučí? Já, z pomoci Boží. Jakým způsobem? Provedu tebe všudy, ukáži tobě všecko, pojmenuji tobě všecko. Tu jsem, vedíš mne ve jménu Páně. Především musíš se naučit pohým zvukům, že kterých složena jest řeč lidská, které zvířata umějí vyržiti a jazyk tvoj umí napodobiti, i ruka tvá může malovat. Potom vidíme na svět a prolídneme všechny věci. To máš živou a hlasovou abecedu. kraka. Ovca běti. Koniček cvrka. Dudek duda. Dítě kvíli. Vítr vaje. Husa hýha. Ústa dýchají. Myš pišti. Kachna kacha. Vlk víje.
My name is Jan Amos Komensky, or John Amos Comenius, as I'm known in English. You probably know me as the author of Orbis Pictus, or The World in Pictures, the first encyclopedia for children. But there is so much more about me you don't know. I will take you on a journey where you will discover things about my life, but also about the world. Shall we? I was born in Nivnitze, Moravia, even though a part of the family comes from the village of Komня, which gave me my family name, Komensky, or in Latin, Comenius. I attended a school of the Unity of Brethren in Strážnice and in Přerov. My patron was Karel the Elder from Žerotín. I learned Latin. Later, I studied in Hebron and Heidelberg.
Škola. Škola jest říkajíc dílna, kde mladistvě duše cnosti se vyučují a dělí se na třídy.
Učitel sedí na učitelské stolici. Začíná lavicích. On učí, Tito učí se.
Něco napisuje, sedím křidou na tabuli.
Někteří z nich sedí u stolu a píší. On opravuje chyby.
Někteří stojí a odříkávají, co v paměť uložili.
Někteří rozprávají a chovají se svévolně a nedbali. Ti trestají se prutem a metlou.
After I concluded my studies with a theological disputation, I returned on foot back to Moravia.
Pocesny. Pocesni nese na rameno v rámci, co kapsáž ne kešen obsahnuty nemůže. Kryje se pláště. Drží v ruce hůl, již by so podpíral potřeby mu peněz na utratu jakož i věrného a havorného tovaríše.
Back in Moravia, I became the headmaster of the Přerov school where I studied earlier, and I was ordained a minister. I wrote my first Czech encyclopedic work, Divadlo Veškerenstva Věci, or The Theater of All Things. From 1618 to 1620, I lived in Fulnik, taught in the local school, kept bees, baked bread, and followed the tumultuous political developments in Bohemia and in Europe.
Ženy. Včely vypuštějí roj se a dávají mu vůdce, matku královnu. Roj ten, když odletem stráží, odletětý chce, volá se zpět, vrátit se, cinkaním na měděnci a zavírá se do nového úlu.
Pekař podsívá mouku na sítě moučnem a dává sypem do dýže, potom přilévá vody, dělá těsto, mísí jako písty dřevěnou, pak dělá chleby, pochníky, pecny, koláče, žemle, žemličky, kousky, letenky, věnečky a jiné.
After the White Mountain battle, the Habsburg Emperor began to harshly persecute the Protestants. Many were arrested and their property was confiscated. My family and I were in danger of being arrested. I sent my family to Přerov, and I myself hid in eastern Bohemia. they perished in the plague, and I never saw them again. In this horrible moment in 1623, I wrote The Labyrinth of the World and the Paradise of the Heart, an allegory in which I described my spiritual journey from the world of disharmony to the realm of divine safety.
Kapitola první. Proč jsem se vydal do světa?
Když jsem dorostl do věku, ve kterém začíná lidský rozum chápat rozdíl mezi dobrým a zlým, a když jsem spatřil všechny stavy, skupiny, povolání, zaměstnání a způsoby myšlení, začal jsem uvažovat, ke kterému chovu lidí se připojí. Takto jsem se po nějaký čas trapil a jsem došel k rozhodnutí, že si nejlépe provednu všechny lidské činnosti, které jen pod sluncem jsou, a teprve poté si zvolím svůj stav, abych se mohl na světě užívat pokojného života.
Svět. Nebe má v sobě oheň hvězdy. Obláka visí v povětří. Ptáci lítají pod oblaky. Ryby plovou v vodách. Země má hory, lesy, pole, zvířata, lidi. Tak plní jsou obyvatelů svých 4 živolové, kteří jsou světa největší tělesa, či raději první osnova všelikých těles.
Lidská duše v jejím s tělem spojený život lidský záleží, co duch od Boha stvořený, rozumný a nesmrtelný. Pod žádným podobenstvím zraku očím ukázat nemůže.
Kapitola 2. Poutník dostane za průvodce všude Buda.
A tak jsem se začal rozhlížet a přemýšlet, odkud a jak bych začal. Když tunále, kde se vzal, tu se vzal, objevil se mne jakýsi člověk se pružným krokem, pronikavým pohledem a tuzehbitým jazykem. Odkud a kam jdeš? Chtěl bych trochu vandrovat světem a něco se přiučit. A kde máš průvodce? Žádného nemám. Věřím Bohu svým očím. Pak by se daleko nedostal. Už jsi slyšel o řeckém labyrintu, ale to je nic proti tomu, jak je, a zvláštně nyní uspořádán labyrint tohoto světa. Kde mám takového průvodce najít? A toho jsem tu já. A kdo jsi, drahý příteli? Jmenuji se Všezvěd, šimením všudy budu. Procházím celý svět, nahlížím do všech koutů a vyptávám se na slova a činy každého člověka.
Kapitola 3. Připojí se k ním mamini.
V tom k nám, kdo si přišel, neviděl jsem hned, jestli je to muž či žena, protože byl zvláštním způsobem zahalený a dělala se kolem mě jakási mlha.
Všude bude. Kam pospícháš s tímhle mladencem?
Vedu ho do světa, chce si ho prohlédnout.
A proč jdete vedle mě? Víš přece, že má povinnosti je ukazovat, kdo kde je. Její milost, královna moudrost, přece nechce, aby si kdokoliv sám ní libosti vykladal, co vidí a slyší a všimňak mudroval.
Tenhle možno budu úzdu potřebovat. Jen aby mne nakonec nevedli špatně, vždy si domluvají, že mi dají jakosi úzdu. A jak ti říkají?
Jmenuje se Mamení.
Co jsem to dostal za společníky? Všesvět mi hodil na krk jakousi ústu. Tu jsem pochopil, že si nepojdu svět pohlížet dobrovolně, ale že budu tažen roztěkanosti své mysli. A můj druhý průvodce mi dal na nos brýle. Skrze které jsem hned všechno viděl jinak. Měli tu moc, že člověku, který se skrze ně díval, se zdala daleka věc blízká a blízká daleka, malá veliká, ošklivá krásná, černá bílá a tak dále. Naštěstí mi je nasadili na křivo, takže jsem mohl vidět věci, jak skutečně jsou.
Žrací skla, zrcadla, hotuje se, aby lidé v nich se vhlíželi dejle skla na oči, aby bystřeji viděl, kdo má slabý krátký zrak. Dalekohledem vydají se vzdálené, odlehlé věci, jak by na blízku u samého byly. Ve světšovacím skle ukazuje se blecha veliká jako prasátko.
Přestože jste mi spali ústa a zaštěli oči, rozum a myslí mi nesvažete. Pojedu a podívám se, jaký je svět.
Kapitola 4. Poutník si prohlíží náměstí světa.
Pojďme nejprve na náměstí.
Město. Ze mnoha domů bývá bez nebo městečko a na město. To i toto upevňuje se i spojuje se hradbami, valem, naspí okolím. Vnitř okolo zdi jest městiště, v něj příkop. Na hradbách jsou bašty a věže a chlívky. Do města hodí se zí předměstí branou přes most.
Byli tu lidé všech jazyků a ze všech národů, různého věku, vzrůstu, pohlaví, řádu i povolání. Otali se sem a tam, jako když se rojí včely. Měli různé oděvy, někteří byli úplně nazí, každý měl na tváři masku. Naštěstí jsem měl tlumočníka, který mi vše vysvětlil.
Je lidská opatrnost, aby člověk neukazoval, co je zač. O samotě se může chovat podle toho, jaký skutečně je.
Dával jsem dobrý pozor a všiml jsem si, že jsou všichni nějak znetvořeni. Jeden měl svinský písk, druhý psí zuby, třetí volské rohy, další osí uši, tamten ličí ocas a onen vlčí pazory. Nejvíce se jich ovšem podobalo opicím.
Medvěd mručí. Kočka mnoka.
Miau, 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 miau.
Vozka vola.
Ja, ja.
Kuže pišti.
Bí.
Žežhulka kuka.
Kuku.
Pes vrčí. Had sičí. Sojka skrčí. Vír chuchla. Zajíc vřestí. Žába kvaka.
Kvak.
Osel hýka.
Iha.
Stračák bzučí.
Hovořili spolu různými jazyky, takže si z větší části vůbec nerozuměli a ani si neodpovídali.
Někteří nedělali nic jiného, než se převlékali. Jiní vymýšleli nové stavby a zase je bořili. Co pak, ty moudrý člověče, hledíš si víc mrtvých než živých? Pojďme dál.
Kapitola 5. Poutník si prohlíží stav učených.
K učeným s tebou! Za dveřmi byla velká síň a v ní bylo všude tolik palic, příhradek, škatulí a krabic a každá měla svůj nápis a titul, jako slovník, lexikon, sbírka citátů, konkordance, herbář, do jaké jsme to vršli apatiky. Do apatiky, kde se přechovávají léky proti neduhům myslí. Vlastním jménem se nazývá biblioteka, nebo také knihovna.
Že časy klejovali papír ke papíru a stačali do jednu stučku. Dnešního dne váže knihy knihář, on archy a klihové vody namočené, suší. Potom skládá a tluče kladivem a křečiva presem studira. Na hřbete klíží obšepekem obševa. Ostatek lno na koži povlíká, upravuje a přidleva k ním megní zatonky.
Jen se podívej, jak nesmírné skladiště moudrosti to je. Viděl jsem řady učenců, jak se kolem toho různě točí. Někteří si vybírali ty nejkrásnější kousky a pak je postupně žvíkali a zažívali. Co to děláš?
Učím se,
A jako to má chuť?
dokud se to žvíká v ústech, je cítí na hořkost nebo kyslelost, ale potom se to změní v sladkost.
A k čemu to je?
Je jednodušší nosit si ty věci vnitř.
Podívám se tady a vidím, jak se někteří chovají velice chamtivě a cpou do sebe cokoliv, co jim přijde pod ruku. Někteří se trochu měli zavratě a občas se i pominuli. Někteří se trochu pobledli, sechli a umírali.
Milý brachu, mít pěknou knihovnu je tuze pěkná věc.
A to i když se napožívá?
Kapitola 6. Poutník zavítá mezi filosofy, gramatiky a řečníky.
Navštívíme gramatiky. Vešli jsme do auditoria, kde bylo pilno lidí s pisátky.
Starší pisávali na deska. Nosa s ním písmen, jehož to spíčatým koncem vyrývala se písmena. Ploským ale koncem zase zatírat. Potom písmena psali teninku čutinu. My už máme usího pera, jehož to připavujeme nožičkem. Pak namačíme rozpadek do kalamáže, které se zacpává zadkem a pera ukládáme v půjčdu na pera.
Malovali písmena, čárky a háčky, a když někdo z nich napsal nebo vyslovil něco jinak než druhý, tak se mu jednak smáli, jednak se s ním hráli. To jsou ale dětské věci. Navštívíme tedy řečníky. Zde stálo mnoho lidí a domluvali se. Zda barvit slova štětcem na zelenou, na červenou, na bílou, a k čemu by to bylo?
Aby se posluchačům mohl tak i onak zabarvit mozek.
Pak jsem přišel znovu na náměstí učeník a viděl hádky, spory, rváčky a son. Čím se kdo považoval za učeného, tím více začínal z baru. vrhal se na ně, přemenoval s nimi, sekal, hazel a střílel na ně. Viděl jsem mezi nimi Aristotela s Platonem, Scotta s Akvinským, Erasma se sobornistí, Husa, Luthera a jiné s papežem a s jezuity. Mezi všemi byly velké hádky. Když jsem to viděl, bylo mi až do plače.
Kapitola 7. Poutník si začíná zoufat a se svými průvodci se hádá.
Navštívil jsem básníky, dialektiky, fyziky, metafyziky, aritmetiky, geometrii, geodety, hudebníky, astronomii, astrologii, historiky, etiky a politiky. Ale všude jsem viděl marnost.
Na všem něco najdeš. Bude si ti snad i vůbec něco líbit?
Můj ty smutku, co pak nenajdu na tomto bídném světě nic dobrého?
A kdo si myslíš, že za to může ty nevlídný mrzouce? Jen si podívej, jak je každý veselý.
Tak se buď všichni zbláznili a nebo lžou.
Poutník utíká ze světa.
Well, a second part followed the labyrinth of the world, the more hopeful paradise of the heart, but there was no paradise for me. An imperial decree forced Protestants to convert to Catholicism or leave the country. That's when I moved with my new family to the Polish Leszno. I lived there for 19 years, and Leszno became my second home. I taught in the School of the Unity of Brethren. I wrote a lot, and I worked on my ideas of how to reform the schools.
Jan Amos Komeński osiadł w Lesznie w 1628, czy jak twierdzą niektórzy 1625 roku. Przybył do Polski razem z wieloma innymi uchodźcami z Czech i Moraw, wypędzonymi na wskutek prześladowań religijnych. Leszno stało się wtedy ważnym ośrodkiem braci czeskich. Komeński został nauczycielem, a potem rektorem miejscowego gimnazjum. W tym czasie napisał swój słynny podręcznik do nauki języka łacińskiego, Janua Linguarum Reservata, oraz pracę poświęconą pedagogice, Didactica Magna. Komeński opowiadał się za powszechną i obowiązkową edukacją dzieci i młodzieży oraz za kształceniem w języku ojczystym, dopiero później uzupełnianym lekcjami łaciny. Jako pedagog i twórca pisał także wiersze i sztuki dla teatru szkolnego i zajmował się tłumaczeniem poezji.
I traveled around Europe. I was often invited to help reform schools. I lived in Sweden, spent some time in England where they offered me great support. The Civil War, however, prevented me from implementing school reforms there. Cardinal Richelieu, the aristocratic family of the Rákóczi, and even the Americans were interested in my pedagogical ideas.
That brave old man, Johannes Comenius, the fame of whose worth hath been trumpeted as far as moving 3 languages, whereof every one is indebted unto his Janus, could carry it, was indeed agreed withal by our Mr. Winthrop in his travels through the Low Countries, to come over into New England and illuminate this college and country in the quality of a president. But the solicitations of the Swedish ambassador diverting him another way, that incomparable Moravian became not an American.
The Peace of Westphalia in 1648 ended my hopes of returning to my home country. Instead, I came back to Leszno. Alas, Leszno was burnt down in 1656, and once again I lost my property and manuscripts. I found refuge in Amsterdam. I lived in the Netherlands until the end of my life. Here in 1658, I wrote Orbis Pictus, or The World in Pictures, the first encyclopedia for children. You have been learning interesting facts about the world from this whole time. It's been quite a journey, hasn't it?
that's it. Thanks for sticking around. Hopefully now we'll be joined by our readers and actors. Suddenly I am here they are. There's a ray of sunshine that came in at the end. Hi guys, thanks for coming. What was it like to watch yourselves?
I think it was great.
Yeah, the part about the scholar is the one that touches me the most, you know, as a PhD student.
I think I was really not acting there. I think I was just being a graduate student.
Just expressing your grief. Yeah. Oh, this is great. So, by the way, we have Lucy, who's in Alaska, and Selena, who's in Germany. So, this has truly been a COVID pandemic effort across multiple timelines. So, thanks for being here from all your different timelines.
Do I understand it, Julia? Yeah, thank you. It was great. Julia, do you understand correctly that people can ask questions? Are we still being...
People can ask questions in the chat. I don't know if there'll be any questions. We can definitely read them. But I thought we could just have a little chat and talk about what it was like. If you've been in the Czech play before, what it was like to do it like this. If you haven't been in the Czech play before, what it was like to do it like this for the first time. Just very informally get some impressions and thoughts from you guys. Oh, yeah, and Christina and Sarah, our curators, are here too. We owe them everything. This could have not happened without them. Christina's appeared.
Well done. Absolutely amazing. I enjoyed that so much.
Yes, we were typing to each other during it and marveling and laughing at all of the effects.
It has many layers, so you can all watch it 3 times and find new meanings and new jokes. I'm joking here, yeah.
No, it's true. It's true. It is really like a manuscript. There's some, the word is escaping me. When there's a puzzle in the vertical letters?
An acrostic?
An acrostic. There are many acrostics, but visual acrostics hidden in this film.
Yeah, it's hard. It was hard to catch all the nuances of the magic glasses of the illusion being transferred onto the pilgrim to Colorado and things like that. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know if anyone wants to volunteer. So you guys did a lot on Comenius with Veronica. And then we did the Houghton visit. I was there too, which is great. And then we did this, how did it all come together?
We do have a question, and so there is a question: how how long the students learn Czech? So I would say half of the students only learn since September. So I think a big credit to the beginners.
This is also a hallmark of the Czech play, I feel like. There's a part for everyone. The first year that Matt did Czech and he was in the Czech play, his line was Spátky. And that's what he said for the entire play. So it can be done.
I had another line. I think I said Průvodní list.
Oh, that's right. So 3 words.
And then when it wasn't good enough, I said Spátky. Kind of arranged to that part.
Yeah, but yeah, what do you guys think? How was it to engage in all these different ways with this fun medieval stuff? Veronica, this is your. Oh, Selena's going.
I can go. Yeah, I think it was super interesting. I think actually, I feel like this was the best kind of format you could have had for this kind of topic, because I feel like it worked really well with kind of the online scope of the series play and being able to see where the passages were taken from while hearing people read it out or play it out. I think it was actually, despite everything, it was a really good format for this kind of context.
Yeah, I don't think we would be able to do it the same way live, right? With
yeah, we would have had to think of something different.
Thank you again, Julia, for your incredible special effects and editing. I think that was the real soul of this entire performance. We were just, small pieces in this grand puzzle. The animal effects I especially enjoyed, and I also really appreciated the fog of deceit that you kind of dropped in over me. That was a pleasure. So I enjoyed just seeing how all the pieces came together, even having been on the other end and doing little recordings with Julia. So again, my thanks to you for pulling this all together.
Yeah, that's the downside, right, of doing it like this. We all had this like nice recording sessions together, but we didn't have our usual like weekly get-togethers, right? Which is really too bad. And right now too, we would be having like champagne and I don't know, chips, hummus plate from Whole Foods. So
Julia, this was not your first play as a director, but it was your first film, right? It's your film debut, really. So, the first time, I hope I'm not revealing too much. The first time Julia used all this editing.
Yeah. But I watched a tutorial and it all worked out. Oh, someone is asking, did Mrs. Takara force you to translate the Czech for the subtitles? That's actually a really good question. No, I used 2 English translations. For the Orbis Pictus, it's a 1777 edition of The World in Pictures that has Latin and English. And then actually for the Labyrinth, I used the one that Christine, you shared with us, that I can post both links in the comments. One very nice from the Oxford Project version that has Czech and English, The Labyrinth of the World side by side. So no translating, just editing. How many of you watch Honest Guide? I don't know what that means. So Tyler, you want to tell us about your pilgrim experience? Just to put you on the spot.
Well, it was easy to get into the mindset of feeling a little lost at first, and as I grew familiar, it was fun to explore Putnik and my wonderful guides who helped me through the world.
Yeah, not to be trusted. Yeah.
That's right.
So it's one consequence of learning lines in Czech, even of words that students formally didn't learn, is that it really enriches your vocabulary and your phrases. I don't know if that was the same effect here, but there's some lines and some words that stick with you as you go on. I know, like Matt, Spátky, right? Průvodní list. I don't know how often you would use it in real life. It's not a very common expression or very useful, but I was wondering if from the lines you read for this play, whether you have some favorite new words or expressions.
I think it's tough when you don't have to memorize the lines or repeat them as many times. I don't think it has quite as great, pedagogical utility, but
although Comenius would disagree. He was against memorizing.
That memorizing is actually not good.
No, I mean, he was against the medieval methods of only memorizing.
Yeah.
and without understanding. But I think some memorizing is good. Some memorizing is good for languages. It's hard, but then you have certain phrases or pieces of sentences in your mind, and they are there.
Well, I learned Mamani, illusion, which is a very cool word. I don't know if I would have learned it otherwise. Someone is asking if we can talk about the creative process. How did you get from concept to final product?
So maybe I'll start. I started reading in the summer. I read The Labyrinth of the World and The Paradise of the Heart in a new Czech translation or a new Czech adaptation to contemporary language, and somehow instinctively I found it was a really good book for this time, because there is this description of the world as a real mess, and then but there is some kind of comforting second part which I never got to, actually, I must admit, in this reading, the past summer's reading. I only stayed with the much funnier part, which of the labyrinth. And so I thought that this, and only then I realized that Comenius has this big anniversary this year and next year. So it's 350 years since his death, and it will be, so he died 1670. He was born 1592, so there will be another around anniversary in 2 years. So I thought it would be nice to remember him in some ways. And I started reading various works by him and reading about him. And I never realized he had really written so much, and 100 of books. And considering that another 100 of his works burned in different in Leshno, but already in full neck. So it's sort of amazing to even wade even through the titles and find some idea what it's all about. So I didn't even get to his theological works or the Pansophic works. And so I was a bit overwhelmed in September when I met with Julia to discuss the play, and I was thinking, well, what do we do with all this? How do we transform it into something doable? And this is when Julia's very pragmatic and decisive nature came in, and so that's when we decided that we will start with the heart of it, with just recording the dialogues and recording pages from Orbis Pictus, and then we will build around it and sort of build from the center to the frame. So the frame is what we did the frame of Comenius talking about his life was the last part we did. And I think it was a very good way to approach it creatively rather than, just starting from the big. Yeah. Julia, do you want to?
Yeah, but I wasn't kidding when I said that the Houghton visit was like a big part of the creative process. We really, I don't know, I think, well, you guys did a great job, not just showing us things, but also talking about him. So it really made us think about how we can talk about it. So that was also a big part, like being there, which, once again, how nice would it have been to be in person, seeing these things, but still, it still made an impact. So that was a big part of it too. Kind of like getting to see all these pictures and all these manuscripts. Yeah. Yeah, and then, basically then we put it together as we went. Once we had the Orbis Pictus and we had the dialogues, we kind of assembled it.
I was curious how you chose which vignettes from Labyrinth of the World to choose, because there are so many, but you chose really great ones. But I would be curious to know how that worked.
Well, it's a very good question. And it was hard because there is about 140 of them and they are all great and super interesting. So when I read through them, I was already, I had some idea of the parts from the labyrinth that we want to use. So I was choosing with the intent to somehow connect them to the plot. But there were so many we had to leave out, of course, because Comenius' life was so long. He was 78 when he passed away, and he lived in so many countries. He had 3 wives. The first one died in plague, and his whole family died in plague, like 2 years after they got married. Then he was hiding. Then he had another family. Then he had his 3rd family. He was invited to all these places around Europe and in the US. So basically anything from the Orbis Pictus, anything from the new known world would somehow relate to his life and work. So one of his sons died in a sea, like in a shipwreck. And there is a chapter in the Orbis Pictus on shipwreck. And I was wondering, like, why is suddenly there a chapter on shipwreck? And then when I read his biography that one of his sons died in shipwreck, it somehow made more sense to me, even though it's not necessarily biographical. But of course, all those parts about books, libraries, all the fields are depicted so charmingly, and in some ways, the bakery or honey making, it's really exactly the same process as we have it today. And the names of actually, this is where the translation didn't do such a good job. They skipped, because there is this whole list of the various vienečky, rohlíčky, žemle a žemličky, like listing all these baked goods in Czech, and English just didn't have the vocab for it, or just they.
Yeah, or I don't know if, I guess I could have checked different editions, but the edition that I used didn't have, it had like just the more general terms, right? But yeah.
And there was, for example, the bee making, which was such an interesting plate. And I was thinking, where do we fit the bee making? But then I read in the biography that Comenius was in full neck living, and at the time he wrote so and so, and he also he was following the diplomatic and the wars in Europe, but at the time he was also keeping bees. So it was like easier to fit them in, because his life seems like containing a lot of that.
Yeah.
Even there was this detail that when he finished his studies in Heidelberg in Germany, after his final theological disputation, he walked back to Moravia and he carried with him Copernicus manuscript of Copernicus' work on spheres, which also is such an amazing detail, just visually imagining this 20-year-old like walking back from Germany carrying a manuscript of such an emblematic work of science.
Yeah, it's true. It was plenty to choose from, and a lot of fascinating stuff. The more you dig, the more you found. We have one more question for the actors. So you guys are up about how much Czech are you gonna take at Harvard? And are you continuing with Czech? What's your plan?
I mean, I could start us off. It's part of my minor field as a PhD student, so Czech is a big part of what I study and what I'm interested in. So unfortunately, I've run out of like coursework that I can take like for official credit, but I'm obviously far from done with learning Czech. So I sort of see it as this lifetime adventure of mine where I keep learning new words for bee making and beekeeping or whatever. I don't even know the English for that. So it's really, a big part of my life.
Thank you. some of the undergrads maybe? What's your guys' plans with Czech?
Yeah, so I just declared a concentration in the Slavic department, so I'm going to continue on. Yeah.
So you will be in many other places.
That's great. I know we said we would finish at 1, so I just want to say one last thing or ask one last question, which is for our SAMs about the animal sounds. To please tell us what your experience was like going through the ABC of all the sounds of the world.
It was a lot of fun. It was very silly. Sam made some wonderful animal noises, and it definitely took us a few times to get through without laughing, I think.
Yeah, I definitely had to walk away from the play during that part. It was just a little, it was too personal.
That's great. Yeah, we did have a lot of fun, even though separately instead of all getting together.
We just had one last technical question, whether the recording will be available. So we should just say that it will be.
Yeah. And I think actually because this share was so glitchy, because I'm not a very tech savvy person, I think I will upload the video also separately. So this that we're doing now will just be available too. It will stay on YouTube, but I will also upload just our video without the introductions and without the final discussion, because I feel like the screen share was a little off. So both will be on the internet. Great.
Are you all for play next spring? I already have ideas, but we would need Julia to pull it together.
Yeah, I think I hope my advisors are not watching this right now. We're supposed to have a chapter meeting soon, so I need to officially say that I cannot do a Czech play in the spring, unfortunately. But maybe next fall.
Well, thank you so much for. I realized it must have taken you so much of the real work.
This was could be considered better than the real work, so
it stays here.
No, thank you everyone. Seriously, it was so nice to get together with all of you and get it done. And thank you, Veronica, for setting this in motion. As every year, you always have a nice text, and it's a new inspiration, and it's always fun.
Yeah, I have one in mind right now where you are all you are all nudes. You know where I'm going with it. Čapek will have anniversary next year, so the war with nudes is, and it's never been performed because no one ever knew how to impersonate nudes on stage or in film. It was done on stage, of course, but in film. So
leave it up to the Harvard Slavic department to get it done.
Sono le ore 13.
Oh, my computer is telling me it's 1. Well, yeah, I think we can close on this. Word the Nudes next year. See you there. Thank you so much, guys. Thanks for watching, and have a good weekend.
Thank you.
Naschledanou.
Naschledanou.
Naschledanou.